What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a little different from what you're used to seeing from my channel. Most of what I've done up to this point has been car repairs, modifications, stuff like that. I've done a little bit of what's going to be done in this video today on cars, but not a whole lot. We're actually going to be doing some modifications in my toolbox. This is something that I've wanted to do for probably about 6 months now. I actually bought the stuff about 6 months ago and just haven't had the chance to do it. But we're going to be vinyl wrapping the handles of my toolbox today. This is something you guys can do to any toolbox you buy. Obviously, I have a Matco toolbox, but if you have a Harbor Freight toolbox, Snap-on toolbox, Husky toolbox from Lowe's, Cobalt, whatever, this is something that you can do on most toolboxes. I don't want to say all, because depending on how the handles are designed, you might have a difficult time, but we're going to do it to this toolbox. I'm going to try two different methods or two different ways of doing it today, just because I think because of the design of my toolbox, there might be a little bit of a problem with the normal way, but I'm going to go over how to do it, and then we'll show you the finished product with everything. The vinyl that I'm using is actually Vivid. I've used it before for taillights as well as some accent trim and stuff like that. The color is going to be Supercast Emerald. I actually purchased another green prior to this color that when I got it in, I didn't like the color. I actually have it back here. I didn't like the color on it. It's just doesn't pop enough, and this is actually going to be green mirror chrome. It just wasn't enough of a pop for me. So the issue that I feel like I'm going to experience is my toolbox is actually textured, and what I'm concerned about is when I lay this vinyl down on there, you're going to be able to see the texture through just because of how thin the vinyl is, and I don't want that, because I don't want the vinyl to come out texture. I want it to be more like a anodized aluminum like this. So what I'm going to try to do prior to putting down the color vinyl is I have some vinyl that I've used in the past that is actually textured. It's textured, yes. I didn't want it to be textured, but I don't want it to have this texture. This is actually like a stainless steel texture to it, and this vinyl is also a little bit thicker because it has the texture to it, and I'm hoping that if I put this down first and then put that in over top of it, it might take this texture of this stainless steel and have like a brushed look to it, and not take the texture of this the hammered look that my toolbox is. So I'm hoping that's going to work. If it doesn't, then we might just have to go the route of putting just that vinyl on and dealing with the texture that's on it, but let's get to it. GoPro, stop recording. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do on any vinyl wrap job, whether you're doing on a car, doing taillights, toolbox, you're putting vinyl on a wall, anything like that, is clean the surface that you're putting the vinyl on. Any dirt or debris that is underneath the vinyl, if it's grains of sand or dirt or anything like that, is going to show up as spots on the vinyl. And if it's dirt as in like oil or anything like that, the vinyl will not stick to it. The best thing to clean the stuff off with is going to be isopropyl alcohol. It cleans off any grease or dirt and leaves a very, very clean surface behind for the vinyl to adhere to. So you're going to want to clean off all of your handles on every drawer. Also, potentially the fronts of the drawers, just because your vinyl is going to be in that area, and vinyl has this characteristic where when you peel it off of the backing, it becomes static. And if there's any dirt in the area where you're attempting to lay the vinyl down on, it has the ability to suck that dirt off of the surface into the back of it. So clean the area and the thing that you're applying to the vinyl too, and just to prevent any dirt from getting underneath it. So I'm going to clean the front of this toolbox, and then we're going to go over trying to put the vinyl down on the handles. All right, so I did draw a drawer as practice. So mind you, this is not a perfect cut or anything like that. There's some weird cuts on the ends and stuff like that. Just ignore it. This is me seeing if this would work out. I have to say that it's a fail, because although it probably looks good from back here, I just want to say I did those two drawers differently. The bottom one, I wrapped the vinyl all the way around the top of the drawer and into the edge of the drawer itself, and then the top one I did just the plastic trim that's already on these drawers. I feel like it's a fail just because I use this thicker vinyl and you can still see the texture of the toolbox itself. So I don't think that I'm going to go this route with it, just because I don't like the fact that you can still see the texture, and this is thicker vinyl than the metal cast stuff that I have, and you're still able to see the texture through it. So I think I'm probably gonna end up going this route where I just wrap the plastic handle that's on all these drawers. So there's actually just a plastic handle here on the front of the drawers, just to give you something to hold on to. I think that looks okay from a distance as well as up close, because you don't see any texture. The handle doesn't have any texture to it. I'm a little bummed because I kind of wanted to do the whole handle all the way in, so the top of the handle that you're seeing from outside the box is that green color, but I think it'll still look okay with the trim itself wrapped in green chrome. So I'm gonna, since I've not used the green metal cast chrome stuff, I'm gonna practice a little bit with that just so I can figure out its little intricacies, and then I will I'll show you guys how to put that stuff on. All right, so I got a couple drawers wrapped. I realized after cutting these two out that I'm not gonna have enough material to do the whole box. I'll probably have enough to do just this middle section. Just a miscalculation on my part when I was measuring things out, thinking that I'd have enough. I got a 1 foot tall by 5 foot long roll, and that was not gonna be enough. So just letting you guys know, if you're trying to do a toolbox this size, it's not gonna be enough to do it. I reordered a 7 foot by 5 foot roll. So all rolls of vinyl come in most rolls of vinyl come in a 5 foot tall roll, and then the other measurement is the length. I ordered a 7 foot long by 5 foot tall roll, you know, to go forward. I have enough vinyl that I could continue doing this section right now and probably get most of these drawers here done. I'm not going to keep going because what I'm concerned about is with vinyl, from batch to batch of each roll, the color can be different. So I don't want to continue wrapping all these drawers, get the new roll of vinyl, and then find out that the color is drastically different from this set of drawers to what I'm going to use over here. So I'm going to hold off until my new roll comes in so I can compare the colors between the two of them and make sure that they're close enough before I continue wrapping. I just want to let you guys know that, just so that if you run into this situation, or you're plan on wrapping something now but plan on wrapping more of something later on, that there could be a color difference between vinyl. So we'll get back to doing this toolbox when my new roll of vinyl comes in. All right, so I got my new color wrap in. I did that drawer, third drawer down, as well as these two drawers in the new color. Not the biggest fan of the new color. I actually preferred the older color, but I can't seem to find that color anymore, so we're gonna have to go with the other color that I recently ordered, just because I haven't more than enough of it to do the whole toolbox. Ignore this drawer, I screwed up a little bit. It's rather difficult to do the longer drawers because it's hard to hold the piece of vinyl straight across the whole face of the drawer when you're putting it on. The first two I actually had somebody help me hold it. That one I did it on my own, and it's a little messed up in a couple spots. The thinner drawers or narrower drawers are a lot easier to do, and these down here will probably be easier to do just because I can physically look at both ends of the drawer and line it up when I'm starting to wrap the vinyl. I'm actually starting from the back side and wrapping forward, up and around, and then coming onto the top. So that's where the difficulty lies, is getting it straight on this end and straight on that end, because if you get it crooked on this end and then try to come across to this side, the wrap will start to go on a weird angle, and then when you try to pull it straight again on this side, it creates creases in the middle. So you have to get it perfectly straight on either side, on the back side of the handle, before you start trying to come around the top. So I'm gonna get one of these other drawers cleaned up, and I'm gonna walk you guys through how to vinyl wrap one of these smaller drawers. And just know, when you're trying to line up the vinyl on the top, on the longer drawers on a toolbox like this, it's gonna take somebody else helping you get it in place initially before you finish things. So let's get to it. All right, so you're gonna take your piece of vinyl, obviously cut it to length. You're gonna cut it a little bit longer than what you need it to be, just so that you have some extra on the end and you're not trying to like line up a crooked cut. Make sure when you're doing this type of wrap, or wrapping this type of thing, that you get one of the edges of this vinyl straight, or as straight as it possibly can be, using a flat edge on like one of the straight sides of the vinyl, just to get it cut straight. Because what can happen is what I was talking about with this drawer, where if this vinyl is cut crooked, or there's high spots in your cut across the length of it, what'll end up happening is that high spot will actually catch in weird areas along the back of that handle and mess up you trying to position it and wrap it around. I'm not so concerned about getting the vinyl perfect on the back side of this handle, just because when you're doing the back side of the handle, you're not going to see it, and B, I wrapped the first couple drawers, and if you look on the back, you can see where the vinyl is not perfectly straight and it's wavy along the back, but pulling out on the handles, you don't feel it because your fingers never really go up high enough to feel it, as long as you just make sure that you're getting up high enough that your fingers don't feel like an edge on the vinyl itself. So try to get one of these edges straight, or as straight as you possibly can, so it's not all wonky along the back, because it'll mess up you getting it lined up straight on the drawer. So I've got this piece cut out for this drawer. I'm going to get set up and I'm going to start showing you guys how to wrap it. All right, so the first thing you guys want to do is clean your surface that you're about to put your vinyl wrap on. I use isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle and a clean rag. Just going to want to spray it off, clean off your surface. Make sure you clean the back side of your handle if you're doing something like this, so that you don't have something on the back side, especially on a toolbox. Your hands are greasy and oily when you're grabbing the handles to open the drawers. There's gonna be a lot of stuff on the back side of the handles. Just make sure you clean everything real well. Once you get it cleaned up, we're gonna take our vinyl. I will tell you, this vinyl has a protective cap on it. The protective cap actually works pretty well. It doesn't inhibit you in any way from wrapping around corners that I've found so far doing these handles. I don't know about more complex curves, it might become a problem, but you can actually see a little bit of it here where it's starting to peel up. But you're going to leave it on there, and then when you're completely done, you have everything laid in place where you want it. You are going to catch an edge of it with the razor blade, and you're going to peel it off, and then you'll get your nice clean surface, and then there won't be any scratches in this chrome from you pushing into it or applying it. So if you're doing this on something other than a toolbox, maybe you're doing the faces of your toolbox drawers, and you're using a squeegee, leave the protective cap on it so you don't mess up the vinyl. So you're gonna get your vinyl, pull your backing paper off, make sure when you're grabbing it, you're grabbing in a corner or not in the dead middle where it's gonna be being wrapped, just to keep any oils from your fingers from inhibiting the glue on the paper or the vinyl from sticking to the handle. Make sure your hands are as clean as they possibly can be. Obviously, the oils from your hands you can't get off. Wear wrap gloves or anything like that if you feel the need to. It's hard to wear like latex gloves or nitrile gloves because they are hard to pull off of the vinyl. The oils kind of keep your fingers from sticking to the vinyl. So we're going to take the vinyl, we're going to lay it up underneath the handle, and then what I'm doing is just kind of making it to where it lays evenly with the top of the back of this plastic trim on the toolbox handle on both sides. And then I'm just going to kind of tack it in place on one end, and then I'm going to come across and lay it, stick it in place along the back. And then after I stick it in place across the back with some pressure, it kind of holds it in place, and then make sure that you have no wrinkles along the back, because any wrinkles that you have along the back are going to get transferred to the front when you try to come around. And then what I do is now that it's stuck in the back, is you're just very slowly going to kind of pull tension this way on the vinyl and wrap around with your fingers. You have to pull tension this way, because if you try to roll it up like this, it'll get like bubble spots in it where it's rounding the sharp corner on this plastic trim. So you're going to pull towards you to keep any bubbles from forming in it. And then you're just going to work your way across the handle while pulling tension on the vinyl. Keep any wrinkles or bubbles out of it. Work our way out to the outside edge. Come back to the other side. Just kind of work your fingers back and forth along this bottom here and make sure that there's no bubbles in this point where it rounds the sharp corner. And then once you know that there's no bubbles, you're going to come back and pull tension again. Pull the vinyl wrap back a little bit. And just kind of work the vinyl up across the face of this handle. making sure there is no bubbles anywhere. You're gonna kind of press and pull on it, make sure that you don't get anything. If you get a bubble along this edge of this handle, when you press on it up like this, you'll kind of feel it and hear it as well, because it'll kind of like make like a sticky, it'll make like a noise like that when you're pressing on it along the bottom if there's a bubble. You're just gonna, the pressure from you pushing on it is actually gonna cause this glue to stick better than it would. It has light tack when it's initially just laid on a surface, but when you start pressing on it, it starts to press the glue out. It presses out the little air release channels that are in the back of the paper and then presses the glue flat so that it sticks properly. So you're just going to work it into place, make sure that it's stuck. We are good now. So now we're going to move on to doing the top edge of this. So because this trim here, there's a light transition between the trim and the drawer itself, you're going to want to push the vinyl down into that and form a crease in it, kind of how you see it's doing right now with my finger. As I go across like this, it kind of forms like a crease in the vinyl where it's laying into that channel, except trying to do it cold like this does not end up working out very well. Believe me, I've tried it. What I'm going to end up doing, and I'll show you guys, is you're going to have to heat the vinyl and get it a little soft and then work the vinyl into that channel so that you give yourself a sharp edge to cut along to trim this top half of this vinyl. So I'm going to get the heat gun out and we're going to start heating this up, and I'm going to show you how to press this vinyl into this groove of this trim. Alright, so in order to get this vinyl to wrap around this, along this edge here of this trim, you're going to have to heat it up in order to get it to lay in there properly, because it's too sharp of a transition in order for it to lay in there just cold. So what I do is I come along and I heat the vinyl wrap up along the top, and then I take something with a sharp edge and I come in here and I lay it in that groove. Alright, and then I'll show you guys what we're doing when we do that. If you look here, there is a hard edge here now where the plastic trim itself is that I've kind of heated and tucked the vinyl down into. So now that we've done that, that'll give you a nice sharp edge to cut along. So I'm going to get a knife out, I'm going to show you guys how to cut along this edge and make sure that you run a straight line on it. Alright, so once you get your vinyl pressed into that crack, or that transition there between the plastic trim and the drawer of the toolbox, you're going to take a blade, make sure it's sharp, and what I do is I come in here and I push it through the vinyl into the crack between the plastic trim and the toolbox itself and get it started, and then I hold tension down as well as using my thumb and holding the blade backwards so that it doesn't walk out onto the plastic trim. And I come across here like this and we trim our vinyl back. Right now this blade's actually behind the plastic trim, which is good because then that cuts flush against the edge of the plastic trim. Sometimes, depending on how hard these plastic trim pieces are, or, you know, rigid they are, you might have an issue where it doesn't go behind it. That's why I use my thumb to hold tension on it, so that when you're coming across, you don't have an issue where the blade walks out onto the plastic trim, because when you do that, it'll cut into the vinyl. Just because of how sensitive this chrome stuff is, it'll cut into the vinyl and leave you with some scratch marks in it. So I've got this cut now. We're going to cut off this piece off the other end. And we now have a clean edge across the top there. And what you can do, because when you cut in there it kind of pulled the vinyl back, is come back and reheat this top edge of this trim and use either your fingernail or a sharp trim tool or something like that to push that vinyl back in along the top edge of this trim, so that it's stuck to that and not kind of sitting up and have an edge to catch to pull off. So I'm gonna lay this down in there, I'm gonna cut these ends off, and I'm gonna show you what this finished drawer looks like. All right, so I got the vinyl laid in here, heated up, and then tucked in along this edge up here. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys peeling off of this release liner. So in the back here, you can actually see where it started to separate a little bit. And I'll pull it back like this, and not release liner, actually, sorry, protective cap. Pull it off and get your nice, clean, unscratched drawer handle. So I got this one done, got these 3 done. I'm gonna have to redo that one as well as those 2 up there, because those are already wrapped in the other color. I'm gonna get everything redone, and I'm gonna show you guys a completely finished product. All right, so this is finished product. Everything's completely done. I still need to redo this 3rd drawer down, just because there's a little bit of bubbling and peeling at the end down there. Other than that, there's a few nicks and scratches in the plastic trim itself that show through with the vinyl. If I was super concerned about it, I would have gotten new plastics before, new plastic trim before wrapping it, but they're toolbox handles. They're gonna get scratched up and messed up anyways. I'm still debating whether or not I want to do the handles in this. I don't think I'm going to, just because I think it's going to be super hard to get the vinyl to lay in this pocket part of this, because it wraps around. This is actually all one piece. This piece here to here, it actually goes in and comes back around out. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get the vinyl lay in here properly, and then you're going to feel it and or peel it back when you're putting your hand in there. So I'm going to probably leave those. I plan on getting matching blacked out Matco logo, as well as the 4S logo for the front of the box to match the logo that's on the end cabinet over there, as well as on the lid. I'm gonna get the Matco blacked out logo for that as well. There's a lot of colors available from Vivid, as well as 3M and Avery and stuff like that for wrapping, for vinyl wrapping. And you know, as far as chrome colors, whatever, there's a lot of options available, but this is just an idea of what this looks like with chrome on it. Or not chrome, just an anodized looking vinyl wrap. You guys can obviously do whatever you want. It's not too difficult to do. If you guys have any questions about this or anything else related to vinyl wrapping, I will answer things the best I can. I'm not an expert at it. If you guys are experts at it and you saw anything that I did wrong during this video, please comment down below and let me know. I would like to learn what I've done. And learn to, you know, better myself. I would appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you later.